Thanksgiving, and thank you for joining me. My name is Roy Clemes of Clemes and Clemes, and in the next 20 or 25 minutes here, I am going to tell you a little bit about ourselves and show you about what it is that we have to offer. At Clemes and Clemes here, we are a small family-owned and operated company. We consist entirely of myself and my father. So that means we do all of the manufacturing, all of the shipping, all of the washing and selecting wool. We're the guys packing and shipping your order, and answering the phones and emails as well. We've been doing this since 1970. Well, personally, since about 1990. I started when I was right around 5 years old and have been here ever since. But my father started the company in 1970. Originally had his father and my grandmother joining him. And what I want to show you today is a little bit of what we bring, which is education. As far as I'm going to show you a little bit, demonstrate a little bit of how to use our equipment. We're going to talk about fiber. That's one of the things that we offer is fleece through our Good Clean Fiber program. And then obviously we're going to talk about the equipment, because that's what we're probably most well known for throughout the world. So let's get started. I have before me some fiber from Good Clean Fiber, and this is a really gorgeous, and you can see it on the overhead camera there. I'll hold it up so you can get a good view of it. This is a BFL Teeswater crossbreed, and we're big fans of the crossbreeds here at Clemes and Clemes. We really like to see those breeds where you take two different animals and the cross shows you the best of both worlds. So for instance, this one being a BFL and Teeswater, you're taking two longer breeds, but the BFL is really known for having a really tight crimp that can be difficult to process. And so by crossbreeding it with the Teeswater, you get some tips that are relatively easy to open up and easy to process. That's one of the things that we really like to look for. If you visit our website, clemes.com/GCF, take a look at the fleece for sale there. You will find several, or probably several dozen actually, fleece for sale that are crossbreeds. Typically you'll see a longer breed mixed in with a shorter breed, and so a lot of CVM, which is on the short and fine side of things. And then you have your Wensleydales, your Teeswaters, your BFLs like we have here, which are your longer breeds. So when you breed a short fine fiber with a longer coarser fiber, you get a nice mid-grade wool. So if you're thinking of something kind of like your Corriedales or something along those lines, which are a good medium length, nice durable, good sock yarn, typically something like that, we like to see those crossbreeds in there for that. So in this little video, we're going to be processing some of this, and I'm going to start with my lock pop. Now you can see it here on the overhead camera in the edge right here, and then the same thing you can see on the frontal camera with the table. And what we're going to do with this is we'll take this lock and separate it apart, and we're going to do an up and down motion. Okay, so we're going to hold it onto the lock pop and go up and down and up and down and up and down, and then once we have this tip nice and opened up, we're going to pull through. Okay, and I'm going to set it there on my drum carder because that is how we're going to process it. Now if we did want to spin directly from the lock, we could, and what that means is basically you would just take this right to your drop spindle or your spinning wheel, and you would start to draft it out to size, and then insert some twist. And there we go. We're making yarn just like that. So it's completely possible to spin right from the lock. It's something that a lot of people like to do, and a tool like the lock pop is a relatively inexpensive investment for somebody who says, well, I'm not sure that I'm ready to start processing my own fiber yet, but I think I might want to try it out. So think about the lock pop if you're saying, well, I want to use the drop spindle and I want to process my own fleece. These are $105, and that includes free shipping in the US. All orders from Clemes.com over $50 have free shipping in the US, and all orders for Good Clean Fiber also have free shipping in the US. So something to think about there. But like I said, this is a great investment for getting started. It's one of those tools you're also going to use once, or if you decide to upgrade to a tool like the drum carder that I'm going to use, or a pair of hand cards, or even a blending board. It's a great, we like to call it a pre-processing tool. So before you're actually processing or preparing your fiber, it's a great way to do a little bit of pre-processing. The lock pop is a good filter, if you will. It'll kind of sort out your bad fibers and some of the dirt and vegetable matter, so that it doesn't have a chance of ending up in your final garment, no matter what you do. Okay, so I've got a few locks started here. I'm going to turn the drum carder on just so we can kind of see what's going on here. Now this is an electric drum carder that we have. There's a key which will keep anybody from messing around with it when we don't want them to. Okay, that lockout is a really nice feature if you have kids or grandkids, or a curious husband or a significant other around, as so many people seem to have. And I just want to talk about, I'm going to be working on our electric drum carder here. This is our Elite crankless. It really is our top of the line model. I show it in demonstrations because it's easy for me to get a lot of throughput or process a lot of fiber while I'm using it under power. But if budget constraints or size constraints or whatever else is an issue, we start out with our 4-inch wide mini standard. Those are really our price point model, but you can still get a lot of throughput on those. Those are $640, again, free shipping in the US. One of these beasts like this, our Elite crankless, is $2,450, and again, free shipping in the US, even though it's 43 pounds and 22 inches long, and it comes in a nice big custom box. We ship it to your house at no charge. So I am ready to start feeding the carder, so I'll turn this on and we'll feed in one lock at a time. You don't have to do one lock at a time. You'll figure out once you start going with this that you can feed a lot more than that. But for me personally, when I'm demonstrating, I like to do one lock at a time, just so that people kind of get an idea of what's going on. That is also the kind of thing where you'll figure out once you're processing on your own, you'll kind of get a feel for how things are going, and you'll start to feed the carder faster and faster and faster. And then when you start to have issues, I like to remind people, go back to basics, go back to the beginning, feed just one lock at a time, and see if you can solve those issues that you were having. Okay, so I am just back here at my lock pop, and we're just going up and down, up and down. And what we're doing with that up and down motion is we want all these little teeth. There's 72 teeth per square inch on this block. We want all those little teeth to pop through this little tip and open it right up. And when it does that, it's going to do a couple things for us. One, it's going to make it quite easy to process. Okay, so it's already open up. We feed it through the drum carder. It saves us from having to do several extra passes on the drum carder. We'll probably do 2 passes on the drum carder in this case, just to make sure that everything's opened up. But that's going to keep us from having to do 3 and 4 passes on the drum carder. The second thing that we really like to use the lock pop for, or I should say the reason that we really like to use it, is that if there's any vegetable matter in these tips, and I'll see if I can find one here, and of course I can't the one time I go to talk about it, but sometimes you can see vegetable matter gets trapped in these tips, and when you do that, this little up and down motion, once it pops open, you can see it can't hide any vegetable matter in there, right? No dirt's going to be in there. It's going to just fall right out of there. So you'll find when you're processing that this lock pop gets nice and full of dirt and vegetable matter and second cuts and short fibers. Gets rid of, it'll load up with more of these short fibers, and you can see them coming off here as I'm working with this lock. And I get really excited when I see a block that's nice and full. And it seems counterintuitive because you're going, oh, that's like a lot of waste, right? You say, oh no, all that waste. But what that means is that bad fiber is not ending up in your finished project. So what that means is it's not going to be in the bat that comes off of here, or the sliver that comes off of here, or if you're making a rolag, it's not going to be in that rolag that comes off of there. And so when you go to spin it, none of those short fibers are going to be in that yarn. So you're not going to have anything that's going to be creating pills or giving you issues with neps and noils when you're going to spin. And this particular chunk that I've selected here, it seems like there's a lot of second cuts. And what I mean by that, you can see what I pulled off in just a short second here. All these little chunks here. See this one here and this one here? These would give us big chunks in our bat that we would have to then find a way to spin out, right? Like they would get caught in our yarn, and we'd have to stop and untwist and pull them out, or they would just go in and it could be as simple as they're going to clog the orifice when you're spinning. But really, this little chunk here of these little short fibers I should say, is going to give us all kinds of trouble all the way through our process, all the way to the end. And then if it ends up in your sweater or your sock or your shawl, whatever it is, you thought you've made this heirloom garment that's going to be really nice, on the second washing it's just full of pills. And that's why I really like using the lockpop, because we're going to get this stuff out on the front end. And I can tell you, this is a really nice fleece, a high quality fleece, easy for me to say. And you can even find those little spots like that where you're going to have issues even in a really quality fleece. Now you can actually see this in the lock if I hold it up. Yeah, see how the lock gets kind of thin right here, and then there's a chunk here. This is where that little extra bit is. So when I take it to the lock pop, it's going to pop it right off. You can see that's not there anymore. We can feed that into our carder with confidence, knowing that all the fiber that we're now feeding into our drum carder is good, really high quality fiber. Okay, how are we on time? Okay. So I'm going to keep processing here. Just showing you all what's going on. And I want to talk just a little bit about Good Clean Fiber. What we do with Good Clean Fiber is, in pre-COVID times at least, we travel the country and we hit about 12 different fiber festivals, sheep and wool shows around the country every year. And while we're there, we meet the local shepherds, local producers who are growing fleece for the hand spinning community. And we purchase fleece from them, and we bring it back with us to Pinole here and wash it and make it available for sale. And we know that a lot of people have an issue with washing, so we take care of that step for you. We also know that a lot of people don't need a whole entire fleece, so we take care of that for you as well. We make the fleece available from 2 ounces all the way up to a whole fleece, but if you want 2, 4, 8, 16 ounces of a fleece, you can purchase it that way. So you can shape your purchase around the amount of fiber that you need for your project. You can do the same thing with yarn, right? You can buy 1 skein of yarn. So why should you not be able to buy about 1 skein of yarn worth of fleece? So we make that easy for you. We also know that, having talked to our customers about this, it's really difficult to find and connect with fiber producers of different breeds, especially when they might be on the opposite side of the country and different time zones involved. And some producers are, well, let's just say they'd rather be in their field than out trying to sell their fleece, right? So we do all that for you. And there are a couple ways you can purchase Good Clean Fiber. Part of Camp Yarnsie here, we had our sampler pack, which is still available. If you go to the Camp Yarnsie page for our Flight of Fleece, which will be on Saturday, tomorrow. So we're really excited about that. We'll hang out for 2 hours, show you how to process 6 different kinds of fleece. So those are still available. You can purchase fleece directly, clemes.com/GCF, and you can purchase any one of about 100 different fleece that are available at the moment. You can also get a subscription. So if you say, I don't know a whole lot about fleece and I don't know which ones I want and I want to kind of try them all, we have 3 different subscription clubs, and those you can pay for monthly for as little as $14, or you can pay for them annually, or you can pay for them quarterly, and they are quarterly installments. So you'll get 4 ounces of fiber delivered to your inbox at the end of each quarter. So let me do the math right here. May, June, September, and December. Okay. And yeah, so that's good clean fiber. Just sort of making a connection between you, the fiber artist, and the hundreds of producers around the country who don't have a good way to get their fleece to the final user, and the final user, you, who doesn't have a good way to connect with all of those shepherds. So that's good clean fiber. Okay. What I'm going to do here is jump ahead just a little bit, since I've showed you a little bit as far as how to use both the drum carder and the lock pop. We're going to pretend here that I have this nice full bat. Okay, and I'm going to pop this one off of here, and I'm going to substitute in a larger bat that's nice and full. So we're going to do a little cooking show style demo for you. Okay, so I'll show you how to remove this bat using our tools here. This is what we call a doffer. We'll grab another one of our tools, which is called the bat lifter. Here we go. This is the bat lifter. This is an anti-static pink sheet that's on it, so our fiber won't get stuck to it. And we're going to clamp these together right here. There are a couple of bands. Clamp, clamp. We're going to roll over the top and away from us. And you can see we're removing 100% of our bat. If you're familiar with drum carding, removing the bat in its entirety is not common. So using the bat lifter really saves you a lot of time and mess. Okay, and then I'll show you a cool thing about this here is if we backspin this and we pop these out, you can now store your bat just like this. Now this is a small bat, obviously a little demo, but up to a 4-ounce bat you can store in here, and when you are ready to spin it or reprocess it, all you do is slide it out, unroll it, and it'll fluff right back up to full size and be ready to spin or process. Okay. The bat lifter saves you all kinds of space and all kinds of time. One of our favorite tools that we developed here in the last few years at Clemes and Clemes. Okay, so now we're going to take a quick look. You can see how nicely this process. That was just the first bat. Okay, it's really thin and wispy, but everything's really opened up, looking pretty good. You could absolutely spin this right away, just like this. But I'm going to show you one fun trick that I really like to do, and that's called making carded sliver. So I'm going to take this away. I'm going to grab something that is already pre-weighed. Maybe it's not pre-weighed. Maybe we need to weigh it. So that's step one. We need to weigh. Don't forget that step. Okay, so this is that same fiber, that BFL Teeswater. And I'm looking for about 1 ounce here. Let's see what we've got. 0.95. Ah, it is pre-weighed. Okay. Take this off of here. Now what we're going to do, this has already been through one time, just like we did now. Okay, so you can see it's nice and lofty and fluffy. You can still see some individual locks here, so that's why we're going to put it back through one more time. Okay, and while we do that, I'll talk just a little bit about the carder itself. We use a proprietary 72 teeth per inch mill-style carding cloth on all of our drum carders. That goes from our mini standard all the way through our elite series. Now the difference between our standard series and our elite series is that we redesigned the cloth for the elite series. It is taller, so it has a higher capacity. Other than that, the carding action between the two series are the same. It's really just the bells and whistles all come on the elite series. The standards is more of our economy line. We've been making that standard series since before I was born. We started them in the early 70s. and the Elite series we debuted in the early 2010s. So kind of the new kids on the block there. Now I'm going to take something that you didn't really see me use in the last bat. This is called my packing brush. And I'm going to pack that down. That does two things for us. One, it makes sure that our bat's going to be consistent throughout as we continue feeding it. And the fiber keeps getting pulled down into the teeth and onto that large drum, which is what we call the Swift. And it also is going to make sure that I can get all of this fiber onto this bat or onto the drum to make part of this bat. Now you'll notice again I'm not feeding very much, just like when we were feeding from the lock. I'm feeding about one fiber length at a time, or about one lock of fiber at a time. That's going to keep our fiber nice and consistent going in for the second pass. I'm also not feeding very much fiber at a time. You can see that I'm stripping the bat down and not overwhelming the carder or overfeeding it. And I'm just feeding this evenly across the width of the drum. The nice thing about this Elite series is that we have these wooden fiber deflectors in here, so I can feed right up against those fiber deflectors and use the full width of my drum without being concerned about fiber rolling over the edge of the drum and getting into the bearings and creating a real mess for me. Okay. And when I'm all done here, I've got this strip and one more strip to feed into here. When I'm all done, rather than using the bat lifter to remove the bat, I am going to use a tool called a Diz, and I'm going to remove this. It's going to look like roving because it is a type of roving, but we call it sliver. It's spelled like sliver, but it's called sliver. And it's going to be a dream to spin, and that's why it's one of the things that I always like to demonstrate first, because it's one of those things where I really want that. If you're in fiber processing and you're getting a drum carder, I really want that to be one of the tools that you eventually put in your own toolbox, because a lot of people learn hand spinning by purchasing a roving, and it's a braid of fiber. Like the first thing you purchase is going to look something like this a lot of the time, right? And spinning from this and from what we're going to make is a night and day difference, even though both are rovings. So what I really want to do is show off this process, get you excited about it, and get you thinking about how different something can be when you how different something can be when you process it yourself. Okay. And you're going to find, once you start creating your own sliver, you're probably not going to buy very much roving again. You're going to say, you know what? It makes so much more sense to start from a fleece. Roy got me hooked. It's his fault. I'll take the blame. Okay, almost done here. We will pack with our packing brush one last time once I get this all fed on. And then we'll get started. There we go. Alright. So that is 1 ounce of fiber. Again, that's that BFL Tease water that I was using. We're going to turn this around. I'm going to grab my Diz and a tiny crochet hook. Now the Diz has a flat side, tapered side there, and a flat side. We're going to put the tapered side down, and we're going to hold it down to the drum carder. We want to funnel the fiber through that little tapered bit. Okay, we're going to lift up somewhere between 1/2 and 3/4 of an inch of fiber here. We're going to give it just a little twist, and that makes it easier to pull through the Diz. And there we go, center that up a little bit easier so it's easier for you to see on the overhead. So we pulled that through, and now we're going to sit right down on top of the drum, and we're going to pull this out of here. And we're going to spirally unwrap this. And what that means is we're going to go around the drum once, and then we're going to shift over, and then we'll go around the drum again and shift over. So I say spirally unwrap. It's more like we take a turn and then index, and then take a turn and then index. Now you can already start to see how incredibly lofty this is, right? Night and day difference from the kind of commercial roving that you would purchase. And this is one of those things where I always encourage my customers and my students. I say, figure out how to do this and figure out how to do this well. You need to train your muscles how to do this. So this is all about the muscle memory. So what I like to see you do is go ahead and get your 1 ounce of fiber that you want to diz, run it through your carder, diz it off, but don't spin it. Give it a day or two, then go ahead, run it through the carder again. Even though it's already carded sliver, it might not look this magnificent the first time. It might be several different pieces. Don't worry about that. Run it through the carder again, and diz it again. And then give it another day or two, and then do it again. Now, I will tell you this is quite physically demanding, which is why I recommend waiting a day or two. And when I say quite physically demanding, I mean compared to like spinning, it's physically demanding. It's not physically demanding like, lifting 100 pounds or anything like that. But compared to most things in the world of the fiber arts, this is a little more physically demanding. Okay, so here we go. This is the loftiest preparation you could possibly have. Look at it. It's just a cloud. And as far as drafting out and creating yarn, which is what we started with right at the beginning, right? I took that one lock on the lock, popped it open, and said, okay, let's insert a little twist. Same thing here, right? We've got this fiber all processed. We want to be able to draft out to the size of yarn that we make, insert some twist, and create some yarn. So there we go. So that's kind of Clemes and Clemes in a nutshell, in 25 minutes or less. So we have the education. Like I said, we are happy to teach you. Hopefully we get to see you all out on the road at some point in 2022. If you head to our website, clemes.com, click on the show schedule link. We're going to be all over the country next year, hit about a dozen different shows, and we'll teach probably 40 classes between those dozen or so shows. We also do virtual classes. You can find those online as well at clemes.com. We also have the fiber, like I was just working with. Good Clean Fiber, I did talk about that, clemes.com/GCF. And then obviously the equipment, if you're at all familiar with us, you probably know us for our fiber preparation and our hand spinning tools. But we have a lot of other good things as well as weaving supplies, silk reel for riddling silk cocoons, and all kinds of other crazy things in the world of the fiber arts. So I would appreciate if you head to clemes.com and check out everything we have there. Sign up for our newsletter. We'll be in your inbox once or twice a month. Oh, and our special, which is going on through the end of this month, which is November 30th. You get $10 off when you purchase a lock pop and Good Clean Fiber. So if you put something from Good Clean Fiber, whether it's a fleece that you're purchasing or a sampler, or whether it's a subscription, so put anything from Good Clean Fiber in your cart and put a lock pop in your cart. You'll have a message pop up that you're eligible for a coupon, and just click on the apply coupon button and you'll automatically get $10 off. So don't forget that part. All right, that about covers it. I'm Roy with Clemes and Clemes. Happy Thanksgiving, and thank you for watching.